Hi, I'm Alex Gumpel for TWiT, and I will be reviewing the new Nokia Lumia 800 Windows Phone. Now, this is Nokia's first foray into the Windows Phone world, and along with the Lumia 710. And just off the bat, just the hardware of this is really good. It's a really built solid phone. It's got this really nice curved screen that it's so sleek and smooth, and it just feels really good in your hand. Now, there are some bad things about this design. For instance, there's on the top here there's a little flap that you use to get to the USB port, and you have to really push at it to unlock the magnet, and then it just this little flimsy plastic thing that just feels like if you push it too hard, it's just going to snap off, and that's kind of not very good. However, everything else is pretty sweet. Now, so I mentioned the curved glass. So what they did, which I didn't really think was going to be really cool, but one thing point that they made when marketing this was that the very top of this is curved, and the reason for that is that so when you're swiping along the phone, you know, it feels really, oops, that didn't even go, there it goes. It just kind of, you could just swipe your finger along it, and it feels really smooth. There's no border around it that your finger is against. Now, something about the hardware that I really don't like, but it's more of a nitpicky thing because I'm very nitpicky, is that because of the curved surface of the back and how nicely it feels in your hand despite that, it doesn't sit flat on a surface. So for example, if I put it down on a table, like I like to do when I'm texting, for instance, instead of holding it in my hand, and I'm texting, it kind of just pivots around the center point. It doesn't stay flat and still, and that just really bugs me for some reason. Now, the Lumia 800 has an 8 megapixel camera, which is pretty nice. It's got the Carl Zeiss optics for whatever that's worth. It's got a 2 LED flash, pretty bright. It blinds my eyes if I look at it. Now, it's 8 megapixels, but it's still kind of grainy. It's not great, but it still does get some pretty good detail. So if you look on on some pictures that I took here, we got a picture of Chad here. If we zoom in on his mustache there, you can almost count the number of hairs that he has shaved off. It's not that many, but you can still count them, which is pretty good for an 8 megapixel camera, and especially on a phone. Now, it comes with a couple apps on it, Nokia special apps for this phone. An odd one that is this one that's just called Nokia, and it's called We Care, and all it does is just have a splash screen that says, Nokia respects your privacy. We collect information about your phone and use of services to improve Nokia products, blah, 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 blah. It's just a disclaimer. That's all it does. It's kind of odd that it's there as an app, but okay. The other Nokia app that this comes with is called Nokia Drive, and apparently this is an old Nokia app that's been around on their phones before, except it's now on Windows Phone. So it's got its pros and cons. Apparently this is a very good feature that a lot of people like, but I'm kind of on the fence here. For turn-by-turn navigation, it's really good. I mean, you can pick a destination and it'll tell you, and its voice is very nice. It's smooth and how it works that way and accurate. However, the interface is kind of bleh. Now, it kind of seems like they took this app from their previous phones and just kind of ported it over and kind of did a really lazy job at making it like a Windows Phone app. They kind of made it look like a Metro app, which is Windows Phone's iconic app style or UI style. But they kind of just did it really lazily. So the specs of this phone, it's running a 1.4 gigahertz processor, which is on par with the current generation, second generation of Windows phones, compared to the old phones, which ran 1 megahertz, and it's noticeably snappier. It's smoother. I don't really have anything to demonstrate much, but it just by using it compared to my old phone, it's just more fluid. It's smoother. It's faster. It's snappier, and it does show, and that's a really good improvement. All right, so a really big pro is that it's a Windows phone. It's a really nice experience to use, and it's different than iOS and Android. It's a whole new experience that you really just have to try for yourself and see how nice it is and how different it is, but in good ways. And just in the little tiny details are in there, and how smooth it is and fluid. And just the subtleties. It's just a really nice experience to use. Now, con, it's a Windows phone. So depending on how your view of that is, it's an immature operating system or platform still. There's no apps. It's got a lot of apps, but it's also missing some of the really high-end apps that people like, and that if you're coming from an Android or Windows or iOS, you might be missing. Now, another thing about this phone is that it's not available in the US, and so it's pretty pricey, and you have to buy it unlocked. So it can go apparently from $500 to $800, depending on where you get it from. and you get it overseas, and so it comes with a little British adapter, and it's things like that. But mostly it's just expensive if you want one in the US. And so because of that, if you live in the US, you might want to wait for the Lumia 900, which is going to be bigger and better, and that's going to be really the sweetheart of the Windows Phone. All right, so the bottom line is definitely try this phone, especially if you've never used a Windows Phone, because the experience and complete package is so nice, and it's just a great thing to start with. So there you have it. I'm Alex Gumpel for TWiT, and I'm not wearing pants.